Hey guys, storage. So this one's going to be a little different. For a while now, I have had a couple of totes. Not too many. For the most part, I've been able to unpack everything and get them either here, or on bookshelves, or in the cubby hole, or on the side shelves, or what have you. I've been very careful about getting rid of stuff, and then keeping stuff that makes sense to put on the shelves, as well as moving things into my gaming area and stuff like that. And I don't like to have storage. I'm not the kind of person that likes to have this. Boxes and totes and figures that you'll never see because they're just stuffed away in a box somewhere. I don't see the point of that. It does nothing for me. It's always been something of mine as compared to other collectors that I've not been okay with. I don't like to just stuff the things away. If I'm going to go through the trouble of buying them, unboxing them, displaying them, then I want to see them. And I don't just want them to go in a box and go on the shelf forever. At that point, I'd rather just part with them so that somebody else can have them. That's the way I feel about it. And it is in that context exactly that I have 2 full boxes of stuff. And in order to start going through it, every now and then, in between the unboxing videos, I would like to pull 5 items at random out of these, talk about them, and then decide whether or not I'm going to add them to the shelf or get rid of them. So let's do that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to pull 5 items out of this, and we're going to talk about them. I don't know exactly what is in these 2 boxes. Stuff has been added to them and taken out over time, so this will be as big of a surprise to me in some cases as it will be to you. So literally, here we go. I have something. Okay. Awesome. Oh, he's going on the shelf, no contest. Like, without a doubt. I don't know what collection this is from, but this is a black suit Spider-Man, and I know that I've had this for a good long while. I don't know if this is Marvel, so I don't know if this is I would imagine this is a Marvel Legends thing. I wouldn't be able to tell you exactly from what collection or what line, but I'm almost 100% sure this was a Marvel Legends. Looking at the body, it's very slim and sleek. I like that. I hear that clicking. That's good. Seems like the head looks up pretty good. Head looks down really good. It's got that pivot joint on it too, which is recognizable to me from like the Renew Your Vows body. It's got the good butterfly joints right here. I don't remember what Spider-Man this is, what collection it's from, but absolutely, without a doubt, this is a keeper. I will add him to the shelf without question. I love Black Suit Spider-Man. It is easily one of my favorite costumes ever worn in the history of all Spider-Man, and that is fantastic to see that I still have him. And he looks like he'll pose really good for an older figure, too. Like, he's got a little bit of resistance in his thighs here, which I'm kind of surprised about. But it doesn't seem like he's going to give me any kind of real trouble. I'll figure out exactly what I'm doing with him when I get him up there, but this is awesome. Like, this is awesome. Having the Black Suit Spider-Man back on my shelf is going to be cool because I don't have one of those right now. Okay, so next, I got something. Oh, this I'm keeping. This I'm keeping. This is so cool. This was the one I grew up with right here. It's not the exact toy. I want to say that I found this in a store, still sealed. This was probably like no way, it was longer than that. Wow, this is really, really long time now. This was sometime around when I did Keeping Up with the X-Men at the very beginning of that run on this channel. So this was like 5 or 6 years ago. I went into a store and I found this Wolverine still sealed. So this is an original release from those toys, and I bought it. It just blew me away that I seen it in there, and this was very much the Wolverine that I grew up with. I played with this Wolverine like all the time. Like, he was one of my favorite figures of all time, and during that time, I had two favorite X-Men. It was definitely Wolverine and Gambit. Wolverine, because the very first comic book that I ever read, X-Men-wise, was X-Men Classics, specifically the reprint of the Dark Phoenix saga, where they go to the Hellfire Club. So the first comic I ever read was when they go into the Hellfire Club, and then he gets all that weight put on him, and he falls through the floor, and then after he falls through the floor, the last panel is when he reaches up and grabs the pipe and pulls himself out of the water, and he's like, "You gave it your best shot, bub. Now it's my turn," and pops his claws and whatnot. And I was like, whoa, so this dude isn't done. And then the next book, he tore through the Hellfire Club and fought all the guards and everything, and I was like, this is like the coolest dude ever. And then when the animated series came on, that was when I was introduced to Gambit, and then Gambit also became one of my favorite characters. So this is really cool. This is definitely one that I'm going to hang on to, just because, like, it does have like a link to my past very directly. He was easily one of my all-time favorite figures. I mean, I played with this all the time. So he's definitely one that I'm going to keep. So far, this is a solid pull. Okay, let's see. Oh, that's different. This is wild. I told you there was going to be all kinds of stuff in there. This is my Ghostbusters Ecto. I think this is Ecto 1. No, this might be the Ecto 2. This is Ecto 2. We're back. This is so long ago. This, I've never gotten rid of. I've had this for years and years and years. I'm actually very surprised that it was in here. And I've wondered for a little bit where it went. Years ago, I used to go to my grandfather's every couple weekends or so. And we talked about this on a previous video where I talked about how I have a Coca-Cola bear that I've never gotten rid of because it was part of my, it was in my grandpa's, it used to be on the bed, on my bed, when I would go stay with my grandfather. This is close to the same thing. He had a closed-in deck out in the back, and I used to go back there and play video games, and there was a box of, like, Hot Wheel cars. And this was one of them, specifically. And I remember, and this is getting a little personal, but this is what I mean by, like, toys can be very important. They really can. They can take you back to a place that you never leave. You never forget. Let me set the camera up to talk about this one. I wanted to change the angle for this part of the conversation because I feel it's important that I be very real here. You see, my grandpa was very, very important to me. Very important to me. I had a very good relationship with my grandfather. I knew him quite well. I used to go car shopping with him and things like that. He ran a car dealership, and when he passed away, I remember we went to his house after he passed away, and all the grown-up stuff had to start taking place. You had to start breaking it down and taking the stuff out and figuring out what stayed, what went, what the will dictated, and so on and so forth. And, like, the house was going to be sold. And I remember a part of it that really bothered me was watching people come out of the woodworks that, like, believed they were owed something. That kind of situation. Very much the sad part of death, the part that we don't like to think about, this dirty, nasty part. And when this was taking place, I remember I wanted to get away from it. I went into the bedroom and I found that Coca-Cola bear that I've told you guys about. And I took it off the bed and I sat there for a little while. And I remember kind of listening to some of their conversations and everything. And then I got up, I took that bear, and I realized quickly that if I didn't take a couple of things for myself, they were going to ransack the house and I would have nothing. And I didn't want to think that way. I didn't want anything except for my grandfather. But it was take something or get nothing. I took the Coca-Cola bear. I knew that it was important to me in some strange way, and I walked out onto the back patio. And I remember I sat down, and while I was sitting there, I remember kind of having almost a breakdown. I remember coming real close to like crying back on that back on the back porch. It was tough for me, and it was really tearing me up. And then, while I was sitting there, I remember I went over to the table and I sat down. The back patio had like a table and some chairs, and there was like an old TV out there and everything. And I sat down and I started taking some stuff out of the box. And I was older at this point. So these were like toys that I hadn't played with in years. And this was one of them specifically that I remember I took out, and I sat there for a while and I drove it around the table. Just kind of like that kind of thing, you know, and then like I picked it up and I looked at it and I listened for a while, and I remember I took this and I drove it around the table a couple of times, just kind of playing around, and then I put it in my pocket. And I took it home. And when I got it home, I took it out of my pocket and I put it on my computer desk. And it sat on the computer desk for years. And it was when I moved recently that it got put into the storage boxes. And this is a strange link to that time in my life when I had my grandfather, when I was younger. The dish is even still broken from when I put it in my pocket, and it bent the plastic all the way up. And the dish is still on there even today. I try real hard not to touch the dish too often because it is busted and it's barely hanging on. But that was from when I put it in my pocket all those years ago. Toys are a funny thing. I've heard sometimes people say things like, why collect toys? And I guess, if I'm being perfectly honest, toys are a tactile experience into moments in your life, lessons in your life, important idealisms behind yourself, and a physical link to the characters that you've idolized and that have made you who you are. And that might be the most serious way I can explain it. I've said this thousands of times on this show, but I'll say it again. Every single item on this shelf, on that shelf, says something about me. Every single item on this shelf has a story to tell. Even if it's a slight story, some are bigger stories and bigger moments in our lives that we'll never outgrow. Ever. I'm 40 years old. And I have had this car since I was 5. And holding it in my hands right now takes me back to a time in my life that was very hard, but in some way brought a strange amount of comfort to me, just driving it around the table. And for that alone, this little car is infinitely important to me. And so it does go back on the shelf. Sorry if that was too real. I know these videos are often fun. But when I seen this, I felt like I had to share something. Something very real, and something that points to the reason why we collect. There are still 2 more items from the box. Let's see what else is in there. All right, reaching back in the box here. I've got something. This guy is gone. This is from the Dragon Star collection. I'm guessing he went in there after I did the video for, I did a video where I built a Goku from the Figure Rise Standard collection, and I wanted to know if those were better figures than these figures. If I had a better time building it and then posing it and having it on the shelf than I did simply buying a Dragon Star Goku, which is about the exact same price. And I came to find out that I don't like these Dragon Star figures quite as much, or even close to as much as I do building the the Figure Rise Standard figures. And so you are not going back on the shelf. You are going to be sold. Not that that makes it a bad figure. And this is something that I'd like to explain here for a second, is that some of these figures that I pull out of storages, they're not going back on the shelf. They will be sold. But not for like, I can't wait to get rich reasons. In all reality, this guy will probably be put down for $3 or $5 at one of the flea markets, if I get a chance to do one soon. And somebody will buy it, and somebody will enjoy it. And that's all I can ask. I had my time with it. I liked it for what it was when I liked it, but I found something that speaks to me more so than this. And I don't hold any nostalgic value with this character, with this figure anymore. And for that reason alone, it's time that he left the collection. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. All right, that was 4. Let's get the 5th last item. I've got something. I know what this is. This was from the Build-A-Figure collection for Power Rangers. I think it was during the Legacy collection. They were releasing Build-A-Megazord or Build-A-Zord or whatever. And you would get the Rangers and you would get the parts to make Megazords. And the only one I ever finished was the Megazord. I never finished any of the other ones. I got real close on one of the Rangers. I think it was the Ninjas. I did not finish this one. And I have no desire to hunt these figures down and finish it. And it is my ongoing issue with Build-A-Figures. So I discussed this in a live stream before. I said that I don't like Build-A-Figures. I would rather that they just release this. If I wanted this specifically, I would love to have like a Thunder Megazord. But say they release this and they're like, hey, would you pay us $40 or $50? Yeah, I'll do it. I will buy this as like a deluxe that I had to put together before I would want to buy every single member of a team to put this together for a team that maybe I didn't want. Not that I didn't want them. Space Rangers would have been cool to have on the shelf. But when I'm talking Power Rangers, I'm very particular about what I collect. And specifically what I collect is the original series. The one that I grew up with, the first ones, the ones that mattered to me. Not that I don't like any of the others. There have been some, my favorite Ranger of all time is in Zeo. I like the Gold Ranger from Zeo. He is my favorite Ranger ever. But, that being said, I bought one of those and he's on the shelf. And had you released an entire Zeo team with the Zeo Zords, and say I really wanted the Zeo Zords, but say I don't like the Zeo costumes, I don't want to put those on my shelf. And this happens with a lot of figures. A lot of figures that go up here, like the Atrocitus wave that I built not way too long ago. I was lucky that I wanted Atrocitus, and I like all those lantern concepts. That worked for me. That was perfect. But I can't tell you how often I've run into problems like I did not complete Juggernaut during the Juggernaut wave. Because, and I know this shocks some people, I don't like Deadpool. I don't. I just don't care. I laugh. I think he's funny. But I don't read it. I've watched the 2 movies. When he does show up in things like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, I laugh. I have a good time. I go, he's funny. But like, I don't care to invest my time reading his book, and I don't care to invest my time into the character in general. As I've said before, $20 spent here is $20 I can't spend here. And since he's not a character I care about, he wasn't a character that I prioritized in buying for that wave, so I never bought it. I got the head, the body, the arms, never got the legs. That Juggernaut sits on top of my radio and serves no legit purpose at all because he was part of a Build-A-Figure wave, and I cherry-pick my figures buying the stuff that I care about. Not the stuff that the corporation, and I'm not trying to be all, ooh, the corporate empire, but not the stuff that the corporation wants me to buy. I don't want to buy $160 worth of a wave of figures to only get 2 figures that I actually like in some sort of desperate vain attempt to buy the Build-A-Figure. I'll just wait. Because almost every Build-A-Figure has come out at one time or another as some sort of deluxe or something to that extent. And sooner or later, there will be a Juggernaut that I can buy and put on the shelf. In fact, there already has been. I'm thinking about getting, I think I might hunt down the Juggernaut Colossus dual pack. I think it's pretty expensive at this point, but I don't think it's so overly expensive that I wouldn't buy it. But I figure if I bought that, I'd get Colossus and Juggernaut, 2 Build-A-Figures that I wanted but didn't want to buy the line. See? I'm fine with that. And that was 5 items from storage. He's not going on the shelf. He will go in a bag, and he will be sold as Build-A-Figure pieces. I don't know what else to do with him. Like, I just don't know. Like, I don't want to throw him away, but selling him realistically is going to be tough. If I could sell him at all, I don't know. I'll figure it out. One thing I know is he's not going on the shelf, and he's not just going to sit around in storage forever. I'm going to get rid of him. Just like I'm going to get rid of the Dragon Stars figure. So, I don't know necessarily what I'm calling this video. I'll think of it after I've gotten done with this. But I hope you enjoyed this concept. And I hope to do these kind of in-between unboxings. Unbox 1 or 2, 3 characters or whatever. And at the same time, keep moving in a way that gets these off of the floor and out of these boxes and onto the shelves. Because I don't like the idea of just keeping these things in storage. I want them out here, and I want the stories told. And like I said before, there's a story to every single one of these items that goes on the shelf. And if there's not, it doesn't belong here. So, if you like this video, let me know, and I'll do more of these on a more often basis to try to get them out of the way. If you don't necessarily care for these, then maybe I'll make these single poll Twitter videos or like Instagram videos or TikTok videos and just move on with my life. Either way, I'm gonna get out of here. I have spoken. Take what you will from it.